foul.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, April 28th, 2021, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Yakima, Washington. This is the Best Lamm Sports Show NFL Draft Preview Show. I'm your host, David Lamm. With me is my son, Parker. Say hello, Parker.
What's going on, everybody?
So, and you're not going to be able to hear that now because it makes it hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Makes it really hard to...
Working with a new system over here, trying to figure out all the kinks.
Yeah, but we're getting there.
Always a technical difficulty or two.
There's a lot of manual stuff that, I didn't have to do before, so it makes it a little harder. What are you going to say? We are live streaming on YouTube. We're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, www.lambsports.com. You can find links to the past shows and the current trivia question on there. The first segment of our show is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. And you know what? See, now I've done this all kind of... See? There's the first technical glitch. I'm sorry, folks.
Technical glitch.
Because I have the screens backwards, see?
Technical glitch of the day.
And so now, there's The Range. there it is. I promise. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting destination at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services, all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 7, Sunday from 11 to 5. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. Make sure you mention the Best Lamm Sports Show. The Range, educate, equip, and empower. So, we've got NFL Draft.
Yeah.
Starts tomorrow night.
It does start tomorrow night.
At 8 p.m. Eastern. That's 5 Pacific, so you won't be home from work yet, but...
Well, some of you won't.
Some of you will.
I'll already be home.
The East Coast people will be.
Yeah.
We're going to... You know what? You don't have to be there at 5 when it starts. You do not have to be there at 5 when it starts, and I'll tell you why. Because we're going to provide you with the first 10 picks tonight. So
that's right. We're going to get them right.
You can tune in late, and I'm pretty sure you get, I don't know, how many was it? 7 minutes or 10 minutes? I don't know what it is per draft pick, the first
I never
round.
understood why they give so many for that.
It gets shorter as they go later, and you think it would be harder to find the right draft pick later, but they give you like all this big time at the beginning, and it shortens the rounds.
Why in the hell does Jacksonville need any more time to figure out their draft pick?
It's the rules.
They deserve 10 seconds.
Yeah, but you still have to give them the time, even though everyone knows who they're going to pick.
Everyone knows they're going to pick.
At least I think we do.
We'll find out.
We're going to find out here shortly. But, Uncle Rico.
Uncle Rico.
They could be taking Uncle Rico, and that would be because he can throw it clean over.
If they'd have put him in, they'd won state.
They can throw it clean over that mountain. So that brings us to trivia question. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about a few bits of news and stuff before we get started, but we're also gonna have a trivia question because we do every week. And the trivia question is, and I got to find the right buttons here because everything's out of whack. But the trivia question brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates in Hood River. Stave & Stone, wines with personality. They're open at both locations. They have two. Winery at the Vineyard, 3827 Fletcher Drive, 7 days a week, 12 to 6 for patio dining. The downtown tasting room at 210 Oak Street is open 12 to 6 Thursday through Sunday. Go to staveandstone.com and check out their selection of award-winning wines or make a reservation and go to taste for yourself. Call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750. Or email them, info@staveandstone.com for more information. Stave & Stone, wines with personality. Trivia question, are you ready?
Yes.
Because this is big. This is draft history.
All right.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Sorta. Since 1980.
1980.
Okay. How many undrafted players have gone on to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Okay, gotcha.
You got it?
I got the answer.
Okay. You've got. All right. Well, then good. Everyone else, just
Do I get bonus points for who?
Yes.
All
Absolutely.
right.
If you can name who they are, the two people.
Okay.
I don't think there's any chance you know who they are. But okay. Hopefully. I mean, I'm selling you short a little bit.
Yeah.
But maybe. So
I'll
that's
get it. I got
that's a tough
this.
question. So only 2 since 1980 have gone on to be enshrined. Only 2 undrafted players have gone on to be enshrined in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Oh, you said you just gave the answer. You said 2. I thought the question was how many.
Oh shit! All right, so the question is now, who are they?
No, the question is who are the 2?
Dang it!
Gotcha. Okay, so now
You know what?
Who? Technical difficulty number 3.
You know what? Just mark little tally marks. We need to have like a little tally board that
Okay.
for what.
three incidents and we just stopped the show.
And by the way, everyone, so Parker's in the studio today. Actually,
At Lonely Tree.
this is the first time we've actually been in the same room doing it. I think.
Yes,
tried to do it once.
It was not working. We did it from opposite ends of the house.
Yeah, in the same house, but in different rooms.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've been in the same room doing the show. So this is all new, and we're running this a whole different way, and it's going to be a mess, yet a lot of fun. You're going to enjoy it, I promise. If you aren't already, because technical glitches are kind of our thing. All right, so now we want to talk about a few tidbits of information that happened over the last week or so. And number one is we want to talk about UFC 261. Woo! And before I put up the slides, there's 2 slides to look at. If you're squeamish, viewer discretion is advised, because it's one of the pictures is ugly. It shows what happened.
Yeah.
And I wanted to let that be out there. So give you a chance to close your eyes or whatever. Just take a minute and
Get away.
here it comes. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So in UFC 261, Chris Weidman snapped both the bones in his lower right leg on the first kick of the match against Uriah Hall, and the match was officially listed as a 17-second TKO.
Yeah.
If you like gross things, you can go look for it on YouTube. It's still on there, I'm sure.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
It was awesome.
And Parker saw it live, I guess.
Yeah, we were having a little thing to watch the UFC fights, and it was the second fight of the night, and the first fight of the night was between Anthony Smith and Jimmy Crute, and it ended with a TKO because the official called the fight because he was having a leg injury. His leg seized up. Jimmy Crute's leg seized up, so Anthony Smith won it. So and that happened, I think, round 1. Yeah, right at the end of round 1, he couldn't sustain. Round 1 ended, and then he couldn't come back and fight for the second round.
Wow.
So then in the second fight, this guy snaps his leg over this other guy's leg in the first round, and we're just sitting here thinking, this is going to be a terrible night of fights. Everyone's going to get hurt.
And the odd thing was that Chris Weidman, when he fought Anderson Silva
Back in the day, yeah.
the same exact thing happened to Anderson Silva.
Snapped his leg on Chris Weidman's
So
leg.
what are the odds that this happened in 2 fights that he's been in?
Once to him,
Yeah,
once to somebody else.
That's crazy to me.
That's got to be a pretty unreal stat to think how many times you could be involved in the same kind of tib-fib break. It's gross looking.
It's just
though.
a super freak accident. I mean, really.
And both guys, we saw this the other day. Both guys, when they do it, they don't realize they've done it until they go to put their leg down.
Yeah, they go to try and step back, and there's nothing but rubber there.
Ugh.
It was gross looking.
Gross.
So if you're up for morbid and gross things, go check it out, because you'll go whoa, and then look at the Anderson Silva. Type in his name, you'll see the same thing.
Yeah, his was pretty bad too.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. So that was UFC 261. If you're interested.
Hold on. There was a couple other big things that happened in that fight. Thug Rose won her fight. That was pretty big.
Yeah, okay.
Valentina won her title bout. No big deal. But Usman killed Masvidal in that one. Was not even close. And there was a lot of hype leading up to that fight. And Kamaru Usman's a big dude.
I didn't know you were so into it.
I have very recently, last month and a half, I've started watching fights. And I started watching with some friends, and I'm getting more into it. I'm not quite there yet. I wouldn't say I know everyone. I still have to look at people's names because there's a lot of foreign names and things like that. But
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
All right. I find it interesting to watch briefly, but I can't watch a whole fight where nothing happens. It's a decision. Right?
Yeah.
I like those fights where someone knocks someone out. I mean, those
are cool.
Those are cool. It's interesting, but the point where they're just holding each other and nobody submits, and they just, you know what I mean? It becomes
Well, if that's boring to you, then this was the card, because the injury in the first fight, you had the leg break in the second fight, you had a knockout in the third fight, you had a knockout in the fourth fight, and you had a knockout in the fifth fight. None of these fights went past round 2.
But you had to pay to see it.
It's $59.99 or something like that
Yeah.
for the whole night's card or whatever. So you kind of get a little little scrapped on it, but also you get a couple people to come over and everyone chips in $10, and next thing you know, the fights are paid for, and it's a nice night.
You just pay to host it.
That's
you
that's
just you
literally
host it.
People have UFC hosting parties. That's what Buffalo Wild
and then
Wings
everyone
does.
comes over and pays.
Buffalo Wild
a little
Wings
money.
has fight nights, and if you
And
go on fight night, you have to you have a
the-
drink minimum that you have to hit or something
Sure.
like that.
The last time I went to a pay-per-view event of any kind, I went to someone's house to watch one.
Yeah.
A pay-per-view event. It was Mike Tyson.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And it was Mike Tyson and Leon Spinks, and
Nice.
the fight lasted 13 seconds.
Yeah, that's
something
boring.
like that.
That
And-
sucks.
And when you're paying, I don't know what it was at the time, but it was expensive. I want to say it was like $100
Yeah.
at the time to get that fight. We were all over at the house. We're all getting settled in. I'm literally not even everyone's in their seat, and it's a KO.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that was great, guys. See you later.
Kind of the kicker right now is that you have to buy. So the UFC fights are all hosted on ESPN Plus. So you have to have ESPN Plus already, and then you can purchase the fight.
Oh my
But you
gosh.
get the whole day is full of
okay.
fights. So leading up to it, there's probably 10, 12 fights that are on ESPN Plus, and then you have your title card, which is 5 to 6 fights, sometimes 4 fights if it's a little weak. And then that's what you pay for. It's just that last little bit in the evening that starts at 7, ends whenever. But this one ended so fast because every fight stopped early.
So it might be worth it to do it that way,
Sometimes, yeah. If you have a whole thing, but like I said, just invite a couple people over and have everyone chip in.
right?
It's the way to go. And you bring $10 for the fight, and you bring a dish, and guess what? Everyone's eating.
And BYOB.
And BYOB, yes.
Okay. So also over the past weekend, there wasn't a Formula One race, but there is this weekend. They're in Portugal this weekend at the Portuguese Grand Prix. It's Sunday morning, 7 a.m. on ESPN. Record it and watch it later on Sunday because you're not up at 7 a.m. At least not functioning at 7 a.m. on Sunday.
true.
At 7 a.m. on Sunday, right? Because it's a weekend. But I'm telling you, it's fun to watch, and you will enjoy it, even if you don't like racing. Because I don't like most racing.
I'm gonna watch it.
It's boring, most racing.
Who's
But-
the odds-on favorite to win this one?
We will know more after they qualify on Saturday. Qualifying is very important because the person that leads the race right off the get-go has a great chance of winning the whole thing. It's usually, but not always, and that's what makes it more exciting. I've seen a couple of races last year where the top 3 guys were in an accident on the first turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they go sprinting down trying to get to the first turn, and they're all jockeying for position. They go 3 wide in. One guy bumps another guy, and then 3 guys are going every direction.
And then nothing's happening.
Yeah, so then those guys are basically out, and it's somebody else going to win. So it's interesting to watch. It actually is quite a bit of fun. It's a short race. I mean, there's a 2-hour time limit. But anyway, qualifying is on Saturday if you want to watch it. That's probably on ESPN too. And then the race is 7 a.m. Sunday on ESPN. And if you're recording the series, make sure you record both channels because
By the
I
way,
made that mistake.
Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton are the 2 favorites to win the race.
So Lewis Hamilton leads the F1 standings by 1 point over Max Verstappen, and that would make sense.
They're both plus 125, followed by Bottas and Perez at plus 800. So.
Okay, and those are from all 4 drivers from 2 teams.
Yeah, that's kind of what they're getting at
Yeah.
here is that you're gonna have either this team's gonna win or this team's gonna
It's
win.
going to be Red Bull. It's going to be Mercedes. One of those 2 teams is going to win. So, but that's not always true.
Sometimes.
But Lewis Hamilton is probably the best F1 driver in the history of the sport. So, he's interesting to watch. He had an accident the last race, and still finished second in the race.
That's
so
talent.
anytime you can spin out and go off course and then come back and still finish second, that's a big deal.
Not a bad deal.
Not a bad deal. Let's talk about something that's near and dear to our hearts, and not necessarily every listener, but let's talk about how bad the Portland Trailblazers are.
Gosh, they're terrible.
They're playing right now.
And they're doing well. They're up 74-46 at the half.
Well, I
on
mean,
Memphis. So there's another almost 30-point lead. They're a 28-point lead right now.
So they're playing Memphis tonight, and it's the 3rd time in like a week.
Yeah.
And
they have one more game against them in 2 days.
Because their first 2 games were postponed from COVID. So
they slapped them all together.
So hey, let's just all play back to back to back to back. The Blazers are 33-28 coming into the night, including the win against Indiana last night, which they looked really good, 133-112, right?
Yeah, they looked fantastic last night.
And Anthony Simons, 9 3-pointers, just one shy of the franchise record.
Taking a cue from Steph Curry's April.
Right? But, I mean, he can't do that every night. Anyway, they're 3-7 in their last 10. They lost to Memphis twice in the last week.
Yeah.
They're in the 7th playoff spot entering tonight.
Yes.
Game and a half ahead of Memphis.
Right.
who's in the 8th spot, and then one behind Dallas, who's 6th, and then the playoff spots are going fast. Do you think that there's something in Portland so that they can get up to 6 and not have to be the play-in? Because the play-in, I feel like the play-in's going to kill them.
Yeah, well, the Blazers always seem to step up in that big moment when it's do or die, but they don't always. That doesn't. So like last year, they played their butts off and got into the bubble tournament. They played fantastic. They get there and they just get smoked out in the first round, and it was no fun. And that's how the Blazers have been. They'll do this big, long, super striding finish all the way to the end, and they'll hit the finish line. It looks like everything's great, and then they'll get into the playoffs and they'll get smoked out. So I think the only things they can do to push them out of the play-in set is to hope that Dallas starts to fall down, because Dallas is what's holding them back, and they're only like a game back on Dallas. But that's kind of the problem right now. If they win tonight over the Grizzlies, they'll jump another full game ahead of the Grizzlies, which would be huge to put 2.5 games between you. But it doesn't matter if you're still playing in against them.
Well, they've been so bad over the last 20 games. Probably
it can't get much worse.
Yeah. I mean, they were right there. They were in, I want to say, 4th at one point. And right behind the Clippers, who were 3rd. They were right there.
Early season, we were 3rd. About the 2nd or 3rd week of the season, we fell to 4th, 5th, and we kind of hung there for most of it. And then we started this free fall.
And then Phoenix got hot.
Shot
shoved
right
their
up, way in. Yep.
And then Portland got cold.
They weren't playing complete basketball lately. I mean, they did last night against Indiana.
Yeah.
They are today. Yeah. But prior to that, they're not playing complete basketball. Defense is leading way to losses, and their offense isn't firing.
8 of the last 12 are on the road, including the next 5, including tonight. Tonight is game 2 of a 6-game road trip.
That is so bad.
Yeah, and they end the season with Utah, Phoenix, and Denver. Those are the last 3.
Well, maybe that's a fire under your butt with not having your family around and things like that. Maybe you're going to be more motivated because all you've got going on day in, day out is basketball. Maybe something like that.
So you're saying home cooking might be a bad thing?
I mean, there's distractions.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Their only hope might be that teams may start resting players if the playoff seeding gets set. You know what I mean? If there's
that'd be nice.
If Utah's got the number 1 seed locked down when they play them with 2 games left, then maybe
that's the hope. But Utah, we play Utah and Phoenix and Denver in those last 3,
right?
And Utah and Phoenix are going to be battling it out for their spots.
You would think, but there's still 10 games, 9 games left. Something
so
like that.
We need either Phoenix or Utah to just start losing to secure their spot and not need to win down the stretch.
Come on, anybody that's playing Phoenix or Utah or Denver or Dallas or anybody, it doesn't really matter.
We're rooting for a lot of things to happen.
You really need Dallas to start losing.
But more than any of that, if the Blazers just win.
Well,
if the Blazers win out, they will not have a problem. I think they'll be in the 6th or the 5th seed. 5th would be a stretch, but
haven't quite proven to me that they can win out anything. But all right,
I wouldn't put money on it.
Also, over the weekend on Saturday, Christian Paredes fired in the game winner in the 73rd minute of off a header, from Felipe Mora as the Timbers beat the Houston Dynamo. The Houston Dynamo 2-1. Even their season record at 1-1. The Timbers are playing in the quarterfinals of the CONCACAF Champions League tonight at 7:30. Against Club America from Mexico. So there's a chance they could advance in that tournament.
Yeah.
But Timbers looked better in this game than they did in the first game when they couldn't score.
Yeah.
It's still really early. We don't know anything. You got 1 win, you got 1 loss. Let's reserve judgment till later.
They always feel like a good team. They're not a great team, but they always feel like a good team, and they become competitive in almost every game. And they have a lot of good things going, but they never feel like when you watch them play, you're never like, man, this team could beat anybody. You're like, yeah, they got to win. They look good. They look good out there.
Yeah,
you got to win. It's no big deal.
So we're at that. It's not really halfway, but we're going to call it halfway because we got the second half of the show, which is going to be awesome. Which is brought to you by Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Be sure to tune in to BossKittyLive.com at 6 p.m. every Monday and Wednesday and 11 a.m. every other Sunday for fun fiber games, tutorials, and the occasional F-bomb. Something big is coming from Boss Kitty. Keep listening to our show and keep watching BossKittyLive.com for more details. That's Boss Kitty Hand-Dyed Yarns. Yarns so boss you'll knit your pants. So in case you haven't been paying attention to our posts and our show and any of that kind of stuff.
Which shame on you for
right?
that.
If this is your first show, thank you
Yeah.
for listening. We appreciate
But
it.
also, what the hell?
Yeah, right? I mean,
where you been?
This is show
You
number...
haven't had a single free Tuesday, Wednesday, irregular Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? Not one?
I mean, sometimes we're on schedule. This is show 45. If you haven't caught one over the last year,
Yeah, that's
right?
on you.
Where have you been?
That's
unless
on you.
unless you're just finding out and someone just told you, some great friend of yours just told you about the show.
Then kudos to those people.
Right? We love those people.
An extra thumbs up for them.
Yeah, and they can listen to the next show for free.
For free.
For free.
Text us and we'll give you a code.
Code will get you. That's right. You enter the code.
And you'll listen to the
You
show
can
for
listen
free.
to the show for free. It's a deal.
I like giving away the show for free.
We're-
We've done it 2 weeks in a row
We're
now.
giving. You know what? I mean, I can't keep doing it forever. But we're gonna.
One day it's going to cost something.
Right. So what we have is our NFL mock draft,
Right.
and we are going to pick the first 10 picks
Fair.
of the NFL draft. Parker's going to have the odd picks,
Yep.
and they probably will be odd. He's going to have the odd picks 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I've got the evens 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so there's no time limit. There's no trades. That's part of our rule. We're not having trades, and there probably will be trades tomorrow. So
Right.
you may actually need to tune in. But we're going to do this as if nobody traded up to get anybody or traded down. So it would be who they would pick if the draft was tonight with no trades on the table right now. And let's just start. Let's just start because the first pick, and I think we all know what's going to happen here. But the very first pick in the 2021 NFL draft is the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're on the clock.
Me?
Yeah.
Do I get a full 7?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm done. It's gonna be with no surprises here. It's gonna be Trevor Lawrence. There's no reason, no excuse under Jacksonville's whole franchise putting everything on the. Why wouldn't you take this guy? If you're anybody in the first spot, I don't care if you have Tom Brady on your team.
Right.
You take this guy. He's clearly the best quarterback in the draft. It's not even close. You know, he had 10,000 yards in his college career. He had 90 touchdowns, and he had one of the highest player efficiency ratings ever in college. So he seems like the coolest headed guy, and I loved personally that he had this whole like I don't have to prove anything to anybody kind of thing. I thought that was really neat. You know, people are trying to poke him and prod him and find out what makes you play with such an edge. He's like, well, I'm not playing with an edge. I'm good at football. I don't know what to tell you. I've been pretty good at it for a while, and I will continue to be good at it. And I don't have to prove that to anybody. So I really, really, really like that. That's kind of the way he works. He was fantastic at Clemson. He will continue to be fantastic at the next level. And of course, this pick. Not a surprise to anybody. We've been talking about it now since like 2 seasons ago ended. People have been talking about Trevor Lawrence going first. And you know, you can say what you want about Justin Fields and those guys, but it's not close.
Right. And for some reason, this is technical glitch number 4?
Oh yeah, we're trying to get the picture of Trevor Lawrence up on the screen.
That's the only person. Is the only. I like totally forgot. I have a picture of him. I totally forgot to make a slide for him.
You made him for everyone else
because I knew who he was going to pick.
It was an afterthought of a
right.
pick. Yeah.
I mean, because I know what's going to happen, but I thought I had them
See,
all
look at
done.
You, undervaluing Trevor Lawrence. Already.
I'll tell you what Trevor Lawrence can do for me. Here's what Trevor Lawrence can do for me to make me. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to be that great an NFL player, and everyone says he is. I've been right about these quarterbacks pretty good so far, and it's pretty close.
I don't know if that's good English. I've been right about these quarterbacks pretty good.
It is absolutely. It is fantastical. So I feel like I've been okay predicting whether the quarterback is going to be good or not, right?
Sure.
Trevor Lawrence is going to be an adequate quarterback. Number one, he's got to play in Jacksonville because if Nick Foles couldn't do it and Gardner Minshew, the stash can't do it, right?
Stash.
And Blake Bortles and whoever came before him, if those guys aren't good enough, right? Why is this freshman, this rookie, why is he going to be good enough to carry this team that was bad enough to get the first draft pick last year?
Well, would you say that Marcus Mariota was good coming out of college? Would you say his first season in the NFL was good? That's the way to think about that. Did he have a good first season?
Yeah, it was okay.
He had a
it was
pretty good first season. They won way more games than they won the year before.
Right.
He set all sorts of rookie records.
Even
Justin
his second
Herbert, same kind of way.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and these are Oregon guys, so a little bias here, but they both had a certain poise to them that you don't find. You have your Baker Mayfields who are loud, exciting, in your face kind
Fiery.
of people, fiery guys.
Yeah.
They have a lot of competitive fire in them. And then you have this other group of guys that come along, like a Trevor Lawrence, like a Justin Herbert. Maybe they aren't the loudest people on your field. Maybe there's questions about their leadership, but man, they get it done week in and week out. So I feel like that's what you're going to get from him. I feel like he falls from that breed of my play. I'll show you how I do it out here. I'm not going to worry about talking to you over here.
Here's what Trevor Lawrence can do for me. He can cut his hair.
No.
If he would cut his hair and show me that he's not a pretty boy,
You
that he's coming out to play football, that he is ready, that he's not just every chance he gets his helmet's off. Why? That's his brand or whatever. I mean, because you want to see the mane, right?
The flow.
Well, that's if you're a crappy quarterback, it doesn't do you any good.
He's setting up for a Head and Shoulders commercial.
Oh yeah,
right now.
You're not
Him, Troy Polamalu,
and
Patrick Mahomes are all going to be in a commercial together.
And how did Patrick Mahomes get in that? I don't consider his hair's not long. It's just
well
frizzy.
maintained though, and it's flake free.
Well, apparently.
That's the key.
But I don't know that for sure. It's TV advertising. It's a lot of hocus pocus on
That's
TV.
true.
We don't know.
Who knows?
We have no idea.
I don't know. I feel like if you're a GM and you're thinking, how committed is this guy to come in to play for my team? Do you ask him to cut his hair?
Yeah, I would.
If you're the Jacksonville Jaguars,
Yeah.
say we want to take you to first overall pick,
Yeah.
but we're going to need something from you. We need you to cut your hair.
Yeah.
And he says no.
Yeah, then I won't take him.
You're over it. You're willing to let a generational talent drop because you want a haircut.
Oh, now you're assuming he's a generational talent. I am not.
I think he is.
I'm assuming he's an average NFL quarterback.
I suppose that's the difference here. Is if you don't view him as a generational talent, you'd be willing to let him walk.
Correct.
Because there's going to be somebody else in there who's going to be just as good or
Absolutely.
comparable or whatever, or you'll find somebody.
Right.
But if you did view him as generational talent, you'd be like,
but this pick is
this guy walk.
and this pick has been locked in stone for what since last year.
Well, the Jaguars were bad 2 years ago, so I'm going to say since then.
I mean,
that's when people started talking about it.
I mean,
well, 2 years ago, before he came back this year, he had the opportunity to leave 2 years ago, and he came back one more year because he was a redshirt sophomore 2 years ago,
something like
and he
that.
came back for his junior year.
Yeah.
And people were like, wow, look at this guy. Or I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but he had the opportunity to leave and go do something, and people were saying he was going to be a number one pick then. So
Trevor, I need some commitment.
he needs to see some energy from you.
I need some commitment from you, Trevor, that says I am ready. I'm here to play football, and I mean business.
Alvin Kamara just recently reported that in the draft process, somebody asked him to take out his nose ring, or if he would take out his nose ring, and he said no. And they said, "Is that?" And they talked like, "Is that going to be a problem?" He's like, "Just don't draft me. Somebody else will. That's on you. That's on you. If that's a big deal to you, somebody else will draft me." If that team didn't draft him, hopefully it was the Saints who still drafted him anyways. But if that team didn't draft him because of that reason, they are kicking themselves in the ass. Because he's probably one of the best two-way players not two ways in terms of offense defense, but two ways in terms of running and catching in the league.
Switch hitter? I don't think that's right, Trevor. So yeah, okay. I feel like that's the attitude that players take anymore is that a lot
of them don't.
I'm here. I'm this good. If you don't like it, somebody else will take it.
I feel like that's the vast minority is that players are going to treat it like that. I feel like all of these guys are just. I mean, and Alvin Kamara wasn't even a first-round pick.
Right.
He was having that attitude, knowing that he was going to be a second or third-round pick.
I mean,
he just knew his value, and there's a little something to that. Sometimes it's cockiness, but have you ever known Alvin Kamara to be an especially loud or boisterous on-the-field personality?
No, and I like that about him.
That's exactly right. So not only does he have this confidence in himself, this confidence in who he is, nose ring and looks and appearance-wise, but then he plays in a way that's very conducive and very, it's not hateful and it's not spiteful, but it's good. You don't want to let a guy like Trevor Lawrence slip through your fingers because you have some hang-up on a look.
Right.
Because he has that same kind of cool, calm, and collected demeanor as well.
Okay.
Just saying. Pick two.
I feel like he's here's the thing though, he's not, and we are almost pick two. But here's the one more thing about Trevor.
One more thing about him.
Because you brought up Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota is a good, yeah.
One of those things that they said about him before the draft was he's not fiery enough to be a leader. Trevor Lawrence looks the same way, but they're not saying that about him. Why is that?
Well, that's because
they did a little.
That's because Justin Herbert broke it.
Oh,
they said that a lot about Justin Herbert. Not vocal enough in the huddle, not a leader in the locker room, that sort of thing. And next thing you know, he comes out and wins Rookie of the Year. No big deal. So
it's no big deal.
So I'm just
NFL rookie record for touchdowns, passes.
Yeah, no big deal.
No big deal.
Russell Wilson, who's that? He might get at his pace. He's going to get another title. He's going to get more titles than Russell Wilson.
Well, Simmer down.
I
The
mean-
Chargers need some help still.
It's early, but we'll see.
All right.
It sounded like static, by the way.
And it wasn't. That was not a technical.
It was.
That
It was me making a really sassy tone, but it just sounded like
that,
noise.
that was that. Don't give us a tally mark for that one. Number 2, the number 2 pick in the 2021 draft is the New York Jets.
Whew.
And so we got the tough one out of the way.
The hardest pick.
The
in
hard
the draft
pick,
is
hardest
out of
pick in the
way.
draft is out of the way. And I since they took Trevor, that put me in a spot now because now I don't know who to take, right? But that's not necessarily true. What do the Jets need after getting rid of Sam Darnold?
They need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback.
They really do.
I mean, you can't name a Jets quarterback that was successful in the last 15 years. Would that be safe? 10 at least?
Here,
Mark Sanchez?
Mark
butt fumble?
Sanchez started there very well, but they went through some coaching changes pretty
Sure.
early in his career, and it just did not go anywhere.
And
It
I'm
just
not
died.
and I'm not blaming the quarterbacks necessarily. Some of that's on the team, the organization.
But
But
Geno Smith was another one of those guys. He came in.
they
really
brought in
hot.
Geno Smith, right? Because
Yeah.
they couldn't handle butt fumble anymore, so they had to go to Geno Smith, and Geno Smith wasn't any better.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? The
Brett
team
Favre was the quarterback there in 2008.
the team.
Chad Pennington,
Okay.
and Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. There's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Well, Fitzmagic is good everywhere.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I mean, he's on his 27th team, so.
That's all right.
So this one was a pretty easy pick because we knew Trevor Lawrence was going to go first, and we know the Jets need a quarterback. So the pick is going to be Zach Wilson of BYU.
Ooh.
And the reason, and I'm not 100% certain. I am 95% certain they will pick him. And
95.
95. And they've had their heart set on him. Everything that you read, everything that the professionals, all the experts talk about, we're experts. We're in this. And everything they talk about says that they were in love with Zach Wilson. He showed great arm strength at his pro day, right? They were worried about accuracy and arm strength, which that's what do you want out of your quarterback? But he has mobility. He's fast.
Right.
He can move around. He's not necessarily a super scrambler, but he's a playmaker. He's somebody who can make things happen. His senior year at BYU, 73.5% completion percentage, 3,700 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions.
Ooh.
Now, and that's 2020.
That's not bad.
That's 2020.
That was
And I'm not.
weak year.
I was going to say I don't even know how many games they played. To be honest with you, in 2020, I think BYU played a full season. They played 11 and then a bowl game.
Yes, they played damn near a full season.
Right. So they went 11-1, and their only loss was Coastal Carolina on the road. But they played a wide variety of teams. I wouldn't say any of them were, outstanding competition. So there's a little bit of that going on there too. But only sacked 11 times. He has the mobility to escape. He's a good pocket presence. He can. I think he can do a lot for the Jets, but the Jets have to surround him with the right people, and you've got to keep him upright.
Right.
Because that's the thing. These young quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, he's got to stay upright. If you don't keep a quarterback upright, it doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's how you ruin a good draft pick is by letting him get hit.
David Carr,
Joe Burrow,
Joey Harrington.
Joe Harrington.
These were high round draft picks that were good quarterbacks in college. And what do they get? 50 sacks in a season.
He got crushed.
It takes its toll on you.
Right.
So anyway, Zach Wilson is the number 2 pick for me anyway.
Right.
From the Jets. So this brings up the San Francisco 49ers, who traded
up.
to get here,
Right.
despite the fact that they told me and promised me that Jimmy G was their guy.
Yeah, everyone thinks Jimmy G is their guy until he's not.
And then they traded Miami to get the 3rd pick.
Right.
So because clearly Miami thinks Tua is the guy.
They fell into a really fortunate situation because it sucks that they had a bad year last year with injuries galore.
Yeah.
But if you're going to have a year where you don't lose a lot of people, you just have injuries and they're all coming back, and you can get a good draft pick out of the deal, that's not such a bad situation. It allows you to potentially load up your team.
You're talking about the Niners.
We're talking about the Niners for
Not
the
the
following
Niners.
year. So,
Yeah.
for the 3rd pick, I think that they're taking Justin Fields. Yeah, I think that they're going to take quarterback, and I think they're going to take Justin Fields. It seems like a lot of people are pinning their hopes and thoughts on that they might take Mac Jones because they like accuracy and things like that. I think the versatility that this guy brings, it will be important to them. I don't think that Trey Lance is even a slot in here. People are mentioning Trey Lance in this spot too. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying Mac Jones. I don't think they're that good. I think if you take Trevor Lawrence one, then this guy's got to be the second best one in there. Even though this guy's only got 2 years on his record, he's only got like 5,800 yards. He does have 68 touchdowns in 2 years though. That's quite a bit, and he only has that with like 9 interceptions. So as far as pace goes, he was better than Trevor Lawrence, but he had to transfer schools to do it because he couldn't hack it at Georgia. He had to go somewhere else where there was less competition to make a name for himself. That is my knock on him. That's the only thing I don't like about him.
Say that again. Couldn't hack it?
Couldn't hack it at Georgia. That's right.
Okay. So
he's number 3 in my book.
Do you think there's any concern about his injury that he sustained in the national semifinal game that looked like it might have hampered him a little in the national championship game? But
I think they loaded him up with enough cortisone that he should have been able to play through it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, any lingering? Do you think anybody's concerned that
I don't think so. I think that at this point you're far enough removed from it, and it didn't look like it was significant enough to be, surgery or things like that. It was just, a really bad ankle sprain, really bad tweak, that sort of thing. I'm not overly sold on it. So I think that his ankle's fine. I think that he'll be 100%. I'm not sure if this is the smartest pick, but I think it's who they'll pick.
Okay.
Because I think Jimmy G's the guy.
You still think Jimmy G's going to be the guy?
I think he should be. I think you did so much work to get him to let him not be the guy.
Do you think that they'll put Fields holding the clipboard for a whole year? I think they should do, or they're going to have to pay him too much money, and they're going to have to put him in the game.
They're going to put him right in the game.
And so you have a qualified backup who I'm not sure
How long did Tua last holding the clipboard? Behind one of the most seasoned quarterbacks in football, period. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
5 games?
5 games.
Maybe.
And then they benched Fitzpatrick after an amazing streak for Tua.
Yeah, I don't even understand.
It didn't make sense. No. But that's because you put money into this guy. You got to play him. You can't not play Tua. Yeah. So you can't not play Justin Fields if you're going to spend money on it. He maybe doesn't play the first couple games. Maybe you hope this lights a fire under Jimmy G's ass and you can get a title out of him this year. Maybe he's your quarterback of the future type of deal. But you got to play him if it's not working. If he doesn't feel like it's working, you got to play him. Although that doesn't explain the Miami decision.
It really doesn't, does it?
That was ridiculous.
Okay. I would have picked Justin Fields too.
Yeah, I feel like it's a smart choice.
I feel like that's probably the right thing. But we're on to the 4th pick.
The 4th pick.
The 4th pick in the 2021 draft belongs to the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are in a weird position, in my opinion. Their offense is pretty good. Their wide receivers you can't get much better than who they've got.
They've got some good players. Yeah.
I mean, they've got a veteran quarterback, right, in Matt Ryan.
Yeah. So
they need help defensively.
They really do.
They do. And it's a number of different positions. And I'm going to throw a surprise at you for this. One of those positions that they were lacking in, and they're lacking now because players have left via free agency from Atlanta. And one of those is a safety.
Okay.
They need a safety. And that's probably their number one need. So I'm going to pick them a safety. And there's a number of safeties. There's like 4 or 5 of them in this draft that are good. How do you qualify a safety and determine that he's better than another guy? Height, strength, pass defended. There's a lot of things that go into it. Athleticism, can he make tackles? Can you move him up, right, to play against the run? Does he play, blitzing? Is he good? What is it that he does? So long story short, I am taking Javon Holland.
What?
With the number 4 pick. No, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, gosh.
Now listen to this. Javon Holland had 9 interceptions in 2 seasons at Oregon. And granted, his last game was January 1st of 2020 in the Rose Bowl because he sat out last year. He didn't play. But Javon Holland was the Pac-12 first-team safety his sophomore year, which would have been 2018, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he had 5 interceptions, right? And the next year he had another 4 when teams knew that he was good, right? Okay. Anybody who has 9 interceptions in 2 years is pretty good at college. That's a lot of interceptions. He's a ball hawk. He makes great athletic plays. He is one of those guys. I've seen some other safeties. There's other ones on the table still, but I've watched him play more than I've watched a lot of them play. But when I see the tape, he's every bit as tall. He's the right size for an NFL safety. He can make big hits, right? He can also be a returner if you needed to. Not that that's a big thing anymore, but he has the speed.
True.
So he has makeup speed. That's one of those things you need in a safety because when the cornerback makes a mistake, guess where he's coming from? The other side of the field to catch somebody?
Yeah, he's got to go over there and fix his mistake.
Exactly. And I know it's not the normal pick, but he's been in the conversation.
I don't think he's been in the first round conversation at all.
You better.
I'll see.
Okay, we'll see.
Not
That's who I'm picking.
Okay.
Just because if I was a general manager, that's the type of player that I would want on my team.
Right.
No, nothing more than that. So that's the number 4 pick, Javon Holland, at safety for Atlanta. So what are we up to?
Number 5.
We're up to number 5.
Cincinnati Bengals.
The Cincinnati Bengals. I didn't even put his picture up
Because
I got to talking and I saw his picture over here, and so here let me give him some props.
It is.
There it is.
Bingo
And you can
bongo.
see the one picture.
It looks fantastic.
That is one of the most athletic
It's against Utah. That was
plays
a team that was supposed to be really good.
you'll ever see. If you're not watching, you should be watching because that's a great picture.
That was a great picture.
All right, so we're up to number 5. Parker again is going to pick, and that's Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, so you just chose the last pick based on who you would pick as the GM. I've been choosing these based on how I think they're going to pick. So I'm going to continue with that.
Go ahead.
The Cincinnati Bengals are going to take Jamar Chase. Like an idiot. Like an absolute idiot. That's how they're going to do it. They're going to take wide receiver Jamar Chase from LSU. The reason they're going to take him is because Joe Burrow is saying, bring in my boy. They just brought in the tight end from that same squad, and now they have an opportunity to take the receiver from that same squad. That's what they're going to do. He also sat a year, but the year before, he had 1,700 yards. You know, he had a couple of touchdowns, 5. He was pretty darn good, but I think it's a terrible pick. I think everyone, the conventional wisdom would say, start protecting your quarterback. Take Penei Sewell. He's available. At least in our draft, he is. Take him. But I have a feeling that Cincinnati Bengals will continue to be what the Cincinnati Bengals are, which is a sham of a squad. And they're going to take Jamar Chase, unfortunately. And I don't see it being a good decision.
So as opposed to taking a lineman to protect
him.
That's
what I would do.
And the last image that you probably have of Joe Burrow was him being hurt.
Right.
So you would think,
despite the fact that everyone on earth loves Joe Burrow and is saying protect him, they're not going to.
Okay. And
Yep.
all right.
That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's smart. I don't think it makes a lot of sense.
But Joe Burrow's calling the shots now.
But Joe Burrow, Joey Football, is running that town.
We got Johnny Football. We got Joey Football.
Any J name. Jamar Football. Coming to Cincinnati.
Tanking for Tua, tanking for Trevor. Why is it always going to rhyme? Why is it always alliterative?
Alliteration is easy to remember.
It is. You're right. So okay, that leaves that opens
does that put
it
your
up.
Crinkle in your draft?
It absolutely does.
Yes. That's what I
Um,
was hoping for.
But that's okay because
Crinkle.
it fits a need for the Miami Dolphins, who are 6. Miami, after trading away the 3, then traded with Philadelphia
Right.
to get back in at 6.
Which seemed bizarre, but
It did seem weird, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know why they did that, but I mean, I don't know what they got out of it exactly. I have no idea, but that's okay. So now at 6, the Dolphins need offensive line.
they do.
They do need protection, and there's a
Yeah.
couple of options there, and you just left a big one
I left the big one on the table.
on the table, and that's now that you've said that because I had a different one written down
So that's what you're
because
gonna
I
take?
assumed that's what you would say is that Sewell would go at 5.
I'm not being that conventional, man. I'm trying to get in the heads of the idiots that run the Cincinnati Bengals organization.
Right. Well, and I'm trying to get in the heads of the Miami Dolphin organization, and I've been a fan of the Dolphins for
Also a group of idiots.
ever.
So whatever you think is the right thing to do, don't do that.
And since Dan Marino's not in this draft,
Since you
Um,
can't pick Dan again.
right? Then I have no choice.
You have no choice.
I don't think so. Rashawn Slater was who I originally had in this slot. Rashawn Slater's a big old offensive tackle from Northwestern. Northwestern, is that right? I want to say Northwestern,
That
but
sounds right.
anyway.
Sounds right.
But now that you've left Penei Sewell out there, he's the better option.
He really is.
He really is, and so he's going to be the number 6 pick then.
You took Ducks back to back.
Well, I didn't mean to.
I know.
That was
I know.
not
It
my
forced-
intent.
it
But
forced
that's
your
you.
hand.
That was on you.
It forced your hand.
That Dolphins pick is now on you. The fact that the
But
Dolphins.
That's because you ridiculously chose Javon Holland in the first round.
You say that. You watch. Somebody's going to take him.
I'm going to watch, and he's not going to go to the
he
third.
might not go 4,
He's going to go to the third
but
round.
someone's going to take him.
He's gonna go to the third round.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Somebody needs a safety.
I can't wait to watch the draft tomorrow with you and be like, see, I don't see his name
See?
anywhere.
All right, and just like I'll say, look, they didn't pick Jamar Chase. Anyway, so it won't.
Very true. And we're all going to be
There'll
dumbfounded when neither team takes Zach Wilson or
There'll-
Justin Fields
there'll-
back to back.
There will be a whole lot of finger pointing.
I
told you.
If the moment it gets to the Jets and they don't take Zach Wilson, I'm like, well, we're done for
We're
the
done.
night.
We got one right.
Everyone's
I mean,
drafting.
we probably only got one right.
Yeah,
I feel like
Trevor
at that
Lawrence.
point, right?
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
and that's because we knew we knew what was
We
coming.
have an idea.
So all right, that brings us to the 7, and the 7 pick in the 2021 NFL Draft belongs to the Detroit Lions, and it's your pick. And let me just say beforehand, the rumor is that they're open to trading that 7 pick. We're not going to do that.
Well, we are not doing trades.
We're not doing trades, but just so you guys know that the rumor is that maybe New England has thought about trading up to get a quarterback because
to get Zach Wilson
yeah, that's not going to
or
happen.
to get Mac Jones if he's still sitting on the table.
He would be in our draft.
I don't want him.
Um,
Spoiler alert, but he's not in any of my choices. Okay, so I
So-
don't need him.
so Detroit Lions, it's yours.
So 7th pick, Detroit Lions. I think that they're going to take a not super surprising pick. They have a need for run stopping, and they have a need for someone who can drop into coverage. What they need is Bobby Wagner. What they're going to get is Micah Parsons
Is Micah Parsons from Penn State.
from Penn State. Yeah, that's who they're going to get. Pretty fantastic player overall. Sat out last year, so he is another one of these guys who opted out, and I am so curious to see how that's going to impact a lot of these guys. There's so many dudes who opted out who are going to get drafted in the first round. I am just curious to see like how that shakes out. But either way, had a pretty fantastic career over there. 6 forced fumbles over 2 seasons, which is incredible. He didn't have any picks, but he had a couple passes defended, which is nice. I think that he's a big guy. I think he's a run-stopping guy. So, he's a tackle for loss kind of dude. He's going to break things up in the backfield. But like I said, what they need is Bobby Wagner. What everyone needs is Bobby Wagner. Someone who can do both, or a KJ or something like that. But yeah, this is the one I think that everyone is thinking they're going to take, and I agree. I think it's who they need.
Okay, so Micah Parsons at Penn State. I like the pick. I think he's a fantastic player, and he's athletic. He's tall. He's got long arms.
Yeah,
Those kind of things come in handy for knocking down passes and just being in general a nuisance in a passing lane. You don't have to always make a play, but just to be a presence. If you stand out in the middle of the field and spread your long, 20-foot wingspan out there, you're blocking a lot lot
that reminds me. He reminds me a lot of Darius Leonard. Darius Leonard from Indy is that kind of guy. He's not always getting he's not always batting the ball down. He's not always sacking people. He's not always getting a tackle for a loss. But he's impacting which way you're running, which way you're throwing, which way you're looking. Every single play. He's too big of a presence on the field. I think he'll continue that trend at Detroit.
Okay, so barring a trade.
Barring a trade,
We're saying Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons.
Okay,
like the
I'm
name.
writing it all down
Micah Parsons.
so we can watch it tomorrow and laugh at ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, this is 100% guaranteed to be accurate. If it's not, the show is free. We'll send you the code. Just send us an email.
Free.
I'll send you the code that gets you in for free.
Fair.
It is. I think it's a good deal. I mean, you can't get this kind of stuff just anywhere. Anyway, so we're on to number 8, right?
On to number 8.
We're on to number 8. Pick 8 in the 2021 NFL Draft belongs to the Carolina Panthers, who, by the way, just today, got rid of Teddy Bridgewater, right?
Yeah, that's a big deal.
And so now I'm in a there's a little bit of a spot
A pickle.
because I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means they're happy with the quarterback they have,
Right.
or if they're going to go get a quarterback, because there are still some out there. And the one we mentioned earlier that is not on your draft list would be one of those that's highly talked about.
You got Mac Jones.
Yeah. I mean, so now it comes down to 2 players for me. If they're going to go after the quarterback, that's probably who they'll take.
You think they're going to take Mac Jones?
I didn't say that. I said
Hold
if they're
on.
going to go after the quarterback. I feel like they're not going to do that.
But they also have Sam Darnold. They just traded and got
Correct.
Sam Darnold.
You're absolutely right. Who was a miserable failure in the Jets.
Yeah, but maybe not here though.
Yeah, right?
Because just change the location, you get better.
Because the water in Charlotte is better.
It's softer.
It's
You know what that means?
What?
The ground is softer.
his skin is
And
going
they
to be
play on natural.
silky
They
smooth.
play on natural grass,
They do.
which means that when they rub the rubbing compound on the football is softer, which is easier to grip, easier to catch. Boom, success.
That sounds like an equipment manager talking.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
so Carolina has what I had originally picked for Carolina was a tight end. and they're in need of that since Greg Olson was the last tight end they had that was any significance.
Does he still play? Is he playing for
I-
Seattle?
he might
played
be.
for Seattle last year.
Well, I mean, he's 104,
Yeah, he's been playing forever.
but I think I don't know. Was it last year he played for him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he retired again because he was in the announcer booth like a season, right?
Yeah, he spent one season in the
Right.
booth, and he came back and played.
And I
for
think he
Seattle.
retired again. I think he's going back to the announcer booth. So I think it's just every other year he's going to play.
He's gonna pull what's his? Oh gosh, what is the guy from the not Titans, the Cowboys? Their tight end for years, Jason Witten.
Jason Witten.
He's gonna pull a Jason Witten and retire.
I think this is more like a half Jason Witten, half Brett Favre, in that he's going to see how many teams he can go to, and retire every other year. So and then Booth retirement. You mean he's retirement and then play, and you know what I'm saying? Every other year it's going to alternate. Anyway, I don't know if that's true. I'm going to assume they're happy with their quarterback situation.
That's fair.
I just feel like that's the reason they felt it was okay to get rid of Teddy Bridgewater.
Well, they went out and made this
because they
deal to get Sam Darnold.
because they didn't ask for a whole lot from Teddy Bridgewater.
They really did.
They really didn't. 6th-round pick is what,
and you have to eat $3 million of his contract,
right?
Yeah,
So I feel like that was
a steal for the Broncos, honestly.
right
To get Teddy B for $3 million in a 6th-rounder, yeah, do it.
Yeah, Drew Lock's backup secured now.
Or Drew Lock is a backup
or
secured now.
Or Drew Lock is expendable now.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. So I'm going to pick who I thought they would pick all along before that trade happened, and that's Kyle Pitts.
The Pitts.
From Florida. Pitts is one of those tight ends that is big, strong, fast. He has kind of everything you're looking for in a tight end.
Right.
I'm not 100% sold that he's a great run blocker. But that being said, he makes up for it offensively. And at Florida last year, 43 catches, 770 yards, and 12 touchdowns. This is a guy who knows how to find the end zone, who knows how to go up and get a ball in the end zone because that's what they do. And that's what you want out of a tight end. You know, he's 6'6", 246.
Right.
So that is gigantic. Not weight-wise, but height-wise as a wide receiver. If you're 6'6" and you got a cornerback that's 6'1" trying to guard you, it's 5 inches already. They throw that lob ball at the corner of the end zone. You know, it's a no-brainer.
I kept thinking teams were going to try and convert him to be like the next Julio Jones.
They might.
To be a wide receiver.
And that's possible, too.
Yeah.
That they could do that. And if he doesn't put on any weight, but if they try and add some pounds to him and make him into a true NFL tight end, it'll slow him down a little, but they might get a better run blocker out of it because, you know, you train him how to do that. I don't know. I don't think he's that great a run blocker.
Block to get the rock.
I mean, you got to. But in 2019 with Florida, he had 54 catches. So, 649 yards. Anybody catches 700 yards a year in college,
it's pretty good.
50 catches, that's pretty good. So, I mean, as a tight end, not a wide receiver, not Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith or those guys. He's a tight end. He's not even the number one option on the team.
I guess the question then is how many 1,000-yard college football tight ends has there been?
That is going to be next week's trivia question.
Ooh, okay.
So you already asked it. So Kyle Pitts from Florida is your pick for the Carolina Panthers at 8. Which leaves us with just 2 picks left, right?
2 picks. Number 9.
Number 9 is Parker's team.
The Broncos.
The Denver Broncos are the number 9 pick.
Who I think, all things considered, it seems the early part of the draft is ripe for people to make mistakes and pick dumb picks like Zach Wilson, or to take Trey Lance instead of Justin Fields.
Javon Holland.
Or take Javon Holland for whatever reason, or not take
They need a
Panay Sewell,
safety.
all these things.
Okay.
So if there's a chance that all that stuff happens and Justin Fields falls to the Broncos, even though you just got Teddy Bridgewater, you take him. You take him. You don't sit on that. You take him. If nothing else, you start dealing him out for something else. You say, I'm going to take him right now.
Sign and
give him
trade?
to you. Yeah, or something like that. He has value. Take him. So don't mess with that. But assuming that doesn't happen in our draft, he's already gone. I think that they're going to take J.C. Horn.
J.C. Horn
Out of South Carolina.
Out of South Carolina.
Yeah, they have some defensive back needs. They had a couple guys leave, and even though they just re-signed Simmons, and they're keeping him on board for a while. J.C. Horn, I wouldn't say had a fantastic career. He only had 23 passes defended. He only had 2 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, and this is over 3 years.
Right.
And last year his season was cut short because of injuries.
Right.
So even though I don't think it's necessarily the best cornerback that you could get, the best defensive back you could get, because I know he kind of moves in between cornerback and safety, but I feel like he would fit the Broncos scheme well next to Simmons and next to some of the other guys that are out there. So I think the Broncos take Horn.
He's one of those lockdown type corners.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of stats, is what I'm seeing.
Right.
But he impacts a lot of plays.
But they also don't throw at him because he's that side of the field that you don't want to throw to.
Patrick Peterson syndrome.
Right.
After he got that Defensive Player of the Year, no one threw it his way.
It makes you wonder, and I say this because the next pick is similar. It makes you wonder when they take these guys, what is it that you're seeing? Because no one threw at him. If no one throws his way, how do I know he's good?
Right. Well, kind of that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Well, I guess, but what if they had thrown at him like they threw at the other side of the field? Would he be that? Would he prove that he's the best cornerback, or did we just give him the respect and we don't throw that way?
Well, so that was the Richard Sherman problem. Is Richard Sherman was like, my stats are down because no one's throwing it my way.
Yeah.
But also, when people were throwing it his way, the evidence was there that they were getting enough completions, like about equal to every other person they were throwing to. So maybe it wasn't necessarily you. Maybe it was that pass defense or pass offenses in the SEC are garbage. Maybe that's why Horn was so good in college.
It could be.
Because the passing in the SEC, especially the SEC East, which is full of a bunch of crap teams, and Georgia. Maybe that's what's going to happen.
I'm surprised you separated Georgia out. I would have been okay with bunch of crap teams. But
well, Georgia's markedly. It's much better.
Yeah,
markedly.
I think
markedly
right.
better.
Markedly.
That sounds weird.
Where's our grammar people?
Yeah,
we don't. Is that an IT job? I don't think so. We don't have a.
But they're obviously better than most of the other people in the East. Very clearly.
Okay.
So, and South Carolina is not a very good team. So,
but that's not saying much to say that Georgia's the best team in the SEC East. Is saying that they're the only unspoiled apple in the group.
I'm saying you're a 9-10 win team in the East. That's good, but that's not a 12-win team in the West. It's not the same.
Because 5 of those wins are in your division against
5
Kentucky.
Of those wins are in your division. 3 of them were against Eastern Mississippi Community College for the Blind.
Right.
And yeah, there's a bunch of times you don't have to try.
And absolutely no offense to blind people.
But also, if the offenses are that bad, maybe they're just sticking with the run game. Tennessee relentlessly stuck with the run game, and it got them nowhere for a whole season. To their detriment.
Yeah.
So there's 30 passes a game that are taken off of Horn's plate because they're playing a stupid team.
Doesn't it amaze you that a team we're of the same belief, I think, that we're watching. So when we used to watch Oregon Duck football, Chip Kelly era. Run it until they stop you.
Until they stop you. Run the same.
Run it until they stop you.
4 times.
But,
maybe variance it just a tiny bit, but for the most part.
But then you get into a situation where, hey, they stopped you. Stop running it.
Stop running
that play.
Don't do that.
Because that's what you're talking about with Tennessee. They kept running and running at 3 yards. Oh. Okay, maybe. And you're like, stop it. Just do something else.
It's very much the case with Tennessee the last couple of years. But so that could impact what you're seeing from Horn, is that he's not getting the stats and numbers because there isn't that much of a sample size to give because people aren't passing it.
It's true.
Same way.
You're not wrong.
So yeah, Horn for Broncos.
Okay. I like it. So that brings us to the final pick of the first 10. And if you're a fan of America's team, a Tony Romo fan, if you're Jason Witten, now
I like Tony Romo.
Right. When he was a quarterback and you were making fun of him because he couldn't handle a snap.
I couldn't imagine being a Cowboys fan just because the Cowboys are the most audacious team in America. But also, I couldn't imagine have been a Cowboys fan and watching Tony Romo get hurt so weirdly game after game.
There were a couple injuries.
He comes in and he's going to have a 400-yard game, and the next game he's going to get hurt because they snapped the ball too hard at his ribs.
Cut his fingernail too
close. It's so baffling to me that he was that good and that bad all at the same time. And then he gets in the announcing booth, and he's got a crystal ball, and he can predict every play.
Tony Romo is the best color guy in football. If
you knew this was going to happen, how did you not win 6 Super Bowls?
I mean, he knows exactly what they're going to run.
It's so stupid.
He should be a defensive coordinator, is what he should be.
He needs to get back into coaching.
Because he can tell you what that offense is going to run on every play.
Right, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's going to be this, yeah. I like how he says it so matter-of-factly. He's like, yeah, they're going to run it right here. They're probably going to run it to the left past this guy.
It's crazy. And and he's got a great voice. He fits there. That is his niche.
It's a good role for him. I think a coach would be also a good role. But anyway, so how about that 10th pick? How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys? You're just waiting to say that.
Yeah, I queued it up, yep.
Cowboys offense is pretty good. They're pretty well set now that Dak is back. If Dak is back and Ezekiel doesn't continue his downward trend. Let's give him some credit and say
Let's
he's
just
going to.
assume it was because of Dak.
Yeah, exactly. Let's assume they were loading up to stop
Right.
Ezekiel, right? Because Andy Dalton was not going to be beating you.
Right.
But assuming that Dak is back and healthy, doesn't get hurt again, and that's a big if because you don't know. And assuming Ezekiel benefits from that, which he should, right? And they have young wide receivers that are very good. Assuming all that stays healthy and nothing happens, they're going to take a defensive player. They need help defensively.
Stands to reason.
They need help in the defensive backfield as well. And they're going to take Patrick Surtain
I almost had him going to the Broncos.
of Alabama as the number 10 pick in the number 10 pick in the 2021 draft. Patrick Surtain, what to say about him? What can I tell you about him in that he made about 30 tackles a season for the last 3 years. He has only 4 interceptions in 4 years.
That's not a lot. It's not a lot of picks, no.
He had 12 passes defended last year.
Horn only had 3 receptions in 2 years though.
Right. And he's had 27 over his career passes defended. 12 last year actually ranks him third in cornerbacks. Believe it or not.
It doesn't seem like that much. It feels like your cornerback
That's
should
one a
be
game.
defending.
It's one a game.
But it feels like your cornerback should be like getting 2 or 3 of them a game.
Well, what that means to me is that everyone else is either catching the ball,
and that's where the tackles come
or
from.
it's an incomplete pass.
Right.
And what you didn't touch it just went out incomplete.
Yeah, or you affected the play so much where
Yeah, they didn't throw it your way. So
because this just means that you reached out a hand and actually sent it away from the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
He did have 1 interception return for a touchdown last year.
It's pretty cool.
1 fumble recovery. He has 4 forced fumbles in his career.
That's a lot
at
for
Alabama,
for a cornerback.
For a cornerback, that's really good.
That means he's hitting that strip button, the X button.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
Spamming the crap out of it late in the games.
That's correct. Yeah, he's going to be a good player in the NFL, like his dad.
Like his dad
was. And I feel like that's a lock. That's one of those players that you feel like of all the players we probably named, and you're going to say Trevor Lawrence, okay, maybe, but quarterbacks have this tendency to wash out. A good cornerback stays in the NFL for a long time. They just do because you can use them. Everybody needs one. There's 5 of them on the field at a time in the pass happy offense now. You know what I mean? There's always a nickel back out there too. So I feel like he's going to be there for quite a while. This is a really good pick for them, I think.
I think that's a good choice, yeah.
So
I thought about taking him for the Broncos, but I don't know why, but Horn just seemed like he would fit a little better.
Yeah, I think it's good. So let me write it down. I want to make sure we get it all down because. So just to recap. Let's recap. Number 1 pick in the draft, Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence. Number 2, the Jets, Zach Wilson.
Boo.
Number 3, the Niners, Justin Fields. So that's 3 quarterbacks in a row.
It's going to be big.
To start the draft. Number 4 for the Atlanta Falcons. It's probably not Javon Holland, but it might be Javon Holland. Just watch out.
Okay.
Just watch out.
Okay.
They need a safety.
I could see him taking Penei Sewell if you want to give him a duck, but
They might, but they don't need an offensive line.
they don't need one.
You don't take a guy.
But he would be an improvement over your current left tackle.
Maybe, yeah, I suppose. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to do.
Okay.
You know, pay him number 4 pick money when you're already paying a tackle a lot of money makes it really hard. Anyway, no big deal. Number 5, Cincinnati Bengals, Jamar Chase, says Parker. Instead of Penei Sewell to protect Joe Burrow.
The dumbest decision they'll ever make in their life.
So there's your blunder if you're a Bengals fan. Number 6, the Miami Dolphins. I have them since he left Penei Sewell on the table. Penei Sewell will be the new left tackle for the Miami Dolphins. At 7, Detroit Lions, Micah Parsons from Penn State. At 8, Carolina Panthers, Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida. At 9, the Denver Broncos, J.C. Horn, cornerback from South Carolina. And at 10, the Dallas Cowboys will take Patrick Surtain, cornerback from Alabama.
Right.
So those are that's your lock of the week. You don't even need to watch the first 10 picks tomorrow.
Yeah, just tune in on Friday.
On Friday and watch round 2 because the rest of it's going to be boring.
Because these will be absolutely accurate.
Absolutely accurate.
The one thing I feel pretty comfortable with, except for Javon Holland, is that all of these guys will be going in the first round.
I still telling you.
Okay.
Watch it. Just be
saying.
careful.
Hear what you're saying. Look at the mock draft.
There's going to
Nobody
be.
else believes that.
I did. I looked at them.
Nobody.
There's going to be at least 1 or 2 safeties in that first round.
Nobody believes it.
And you watch. Okay. Anyway, I know something you don't know, but we're not going to talk about it right now.
Fair enough.
So we'll talk about it tomorrow when it happens.
Fair enough.
And then I can rub it in your face next week and say, I told you so.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay, USA.
So that brings us back to the trivia question, does it not?
Oh, yeah.
And once again, our trivia question is brought to you by Stave and Stone Wine Estates on Hood River. So remember the trivia question?
Yeah.
What was it?
Hold on, I have it here in my
Originally was how many since
undrafted players
since
are in the Hall of Fame since 1980?
I blew the trivia question.
He said 2.
Yeah. So there.
He said, if you can name the 2 guys.
See, you know.
And I thought you were just saying a generic number at first, but then you said the question again while saying 2.
See, I don't know what I'm doing. I wrote it down, and I didn't even.
It happens.
Since 1980, how many undrafted players have gone on to be enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Well, it's 2.
2.
And
Got it.
who are they? Do you know who they are?
No. I have been thinking about this whole time, and I'll be honest, I have no clue. Can I get a hint?
Sure. One of them played defensive tackle, played for Minnesota, Seattle, and he played in the 90s.
Yeah, got nothing.
Late 90s.
Got nothing. That's not going to help
Okay,
me.
so that's John Randall.
John Randall, of course.
Defensive tackle for mostly the Minnesota Vikings.
J-Ran.
And the other one played quarterback.
Quarterback.
So it's a quarterback in the Hall of Fame who played for the Kansas City Chiefs,
Okay.
Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings, Houston Oilers, and Edmonton Eskimos.
Hasselbeck?
No.
Who? Wow.
Yeah, right?
When did he stop playing?
Ooh, this would have been 90
something.
something, late 90s.
So he's an 80s
Might have
quarterback.
been 2000, right around 2000 when he stopped playing.
Gosh, I don't know. Who is it?
This is Warren Moon.
Warren Moon, of course.
From the
it
University of
was.
Washington. He also was a Husky.
Of course it was.
Yeah, led the Edmonton Eskimos to a Grey Cup. Right?
Classic.
Grey Cup is the championship.
Yeah, that's boring.
That's the whatever. Have you watched CFL football lately?
Yes, but they got to name it something else other than the Grey Cup. They pick the most bland color.
It's named after someone named
Nothing
Gray.
inspires.
It wasn't.
Nothing inspires excitement.
It's
like
like
the color
gray.
gray.
It's like Grey's Anatomy. It's not the color. It's a person named.
I
Gray.
got it now, but
All right.
it just at the time to somebody who doesn't know, it just seems boring.
Oddly enough, it's sort of a gray color.
Of course,
It's silver. I guess.
Of course it
It's
is.
kind of a gray color. So yeah, John Randall and Warren Moon are those 2 that have made the Hall of Fame. There's not many in the history of the NFL. Before 1980, there were more.
There's a bias against undrafted players.
You think? Or they just aren't getting drafted because they're not good.
I say they're not getting. Well, they're also just not getting drafted.
The
so they're
bias,
not playing.
The bias is they're not good.
The bias is that they're not playing.
I feel like you're not a good player, so I'm not drafting you. And then they don't get to play. But anyway,
That's a good one.
yeah, it would have been better had I not just
Not
screwed
spoiled
it completely.
I feel like I would have guessed 3. I think my instinct was to say 3 because I didn't think it was many, but I did not think it was that low.
It's right. It's not. I don't know what I'm doing. In case you guys all don't know. So next week,
Wednesday,
May the 5th. And for those of you who don't speak Spanish, that's Cinco de Mayo.
Woo! Someone have a margarita on the show.
We're gonna have Margarita Wednesday.
We'll start the show off. If you hear the blender in the background, don't be alarmed, folks. There's nothing wrong with your radio.
It's just Cinco de Mayo.
It's just Cinco de Mayo. So there'll be the sound of fajitas and and blenders.
What does a fajita sound like?
You
Is
know
that
ex-
sizzling?
You say you
the
know
sizzling
exactly what
on
it
the
sounds
tray
like.
on the plate when it comes out.
Sounds like the sizzling.
sizzle.
Yep. And you can. It's funny because you can hear that sizzle.
The sound
and you
of
can
a
damn
fajita.
near smell it.
It's just Chili's, right? Chili's brings them out on that little tray. Well, everybody does, but I mean,
Everyone does it,
you,
yeah.
you see it on the commercial, and you hear that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you just know, and you can smell the
Fajita.
cooking. You can smell the fajitas when it happens.
The meat, onion, pepper mixture
That's right.
that is a fajita.
That's right.
Um,
It's perfect.
It's good. Anyway, it should be a great show. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I have not a clue at this point. I can't even tell you.
We'll be looking at the NBA playoffs. We'll be kind of projecting ahead.
Yep, it's kind of a preview of the playoffs at that point. At that,
Yep.
we're going to be close to. There's going to be at least 4 or 5. I think Utah's already cemented a spot.
Yeah, they're in.
But there's probably by the
Nets
end of
are in.
by next Wednesday, you'll probably see about 7 or 8. About half the field will be in.
Yeah.
Is my guess.
Oh, I think by the end of this weekend, you're going to have. I think that you're going to have the 76ers are going to lock up their spot. A couple other dudes are going to lock up their spot. I think it's by the end of this weekend, it'll be locked in.
So, but we got to remember there's 20 playoff teams.
But
So-
also important to remember is that right now, the fact that the 76ers are in second in the East and don't have a locked playoff spot means they could lose every game
and not get in.
and not get into the playoffs or the play-in at all.
I don't. It may not be 100% true.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean,
I figure that's what that means.
because if they lose every game and someone behind them lose every game, there's a chance that they could still get in. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but
They'd
that's
still be ahead of them already.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
There's also a chance they could just not. That's impressive.
and it's interesting.
To be a 50-win team and
Phoenix
just
Suns.
not.
Phoenix Suns will be in the same boat,
Yeah.
right? They're right there. Anyway,
That'd be pretty impressive.
We'll cover that. We'll cover the potential scenarios for who's going to get in and who we think's going to get
We'll
in.
talk the Formula One race on Sunday.
We'll talk about the Formula One race on Sunday.
A little baseball update.
Yep. Going to talk about MLB and we didn't even talk MLB.
We didn't talk.
We covered it. We skipped right over
There's
it.
not a whole lot to talk about.
Well, I was going to talk about Madison Bumgarner real quick.
Oh, with his no. Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. So just because we got a minute. We don't really, but we got a minute. Over the weekend, Madison Bumgarner of the Arizona Diamondbacks threw a no-hitter, sort of.
That's right.
He threw a 7-inning no-hitter as part of a doubleheader, a 2 7-inning game doubleheader that they're doing now. And so the Major League Baseball says it's not an official no-hitter because it wasn't 9 innings.
Yeah, that's Major League Baseball for you.
So here's my question. So the stats don't count, right?
Yeah, kind of.
They actually absolutely do. Everything you did in that game counts.
It helps. It helps weigh down your averages. That's for sure.
I don't understand how it can be a counting game. Counts as a win. It counts as a loss. All the stats count. Everything that happened in that game counts. If you got suspended in that game or thrown out, there would have been penalties, right? Why isn't it a no-hitter?
Well, because he didn't play enough innings to qualify. That's just
He played every inning they had on schedule.
That's disrespectful to the guys who did no hitters in 9. That was the argument with home runs back in the days, that dudes were about to do it in 162 and other guys did it in less. So that's the argument. So if you're doing it in less or more or whatever, it's kind of the issue. Or sorry, maybe it was backwards, but
yeah. But my argument is this: the scheduled game was 7 innings. He pitched every inning that was available. He threw a no-hitter.
It's baseball tradition to not want to put things in the record books.
Baseball's a bunch of idiots, by the way.
Yeah, I mean that's not.
I mean.
That's a show. That's a show for a Friday.
That's a margarita show right there.
That's a margarita show.
Maybe
Let's
2.
talk why baseball sucks.
maybe 2 margaritas on that one. All right, but we're we're done for the week. That is basically our show, and I don't like I said, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff next week, and it's going to be good. But let me see if I can get anything to happen here.
It's back.
It's much harder to control this way, by the way. That's about the right level.
That's good.
I feel like that's good. Again, we're live streaming on YouTube every weekend. Every weekend? This says every weekend. Why are we live streaming every weekend?
Oh, no, that doesn't make any sense.
How old is this
You're
copy?
going to run out of time on this song.
How old is this copy?
Where's the assistant?
Every Wednesday, we're on Twitter at Lamm Sports, on Facebook under the Best Lamm Sports Show. Email us, lambsports@gmail.com. I want to thank our sponsors, The Range in Yakima, Boss Kitty Yarns, and Stavenstone Wine Estates in Hood River. This has been a Brain Rock production, a division of Lonely Tree Media, LLC. Thanks for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Nice.